just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Christopher Sanchez of the Philadelphia Phillies is one of 3 Major League Baseball pitchers to have a 7-start span featuring an undefeated record, a sub-1.5 ERA, 50 or more innings pitched, 50 or more strikeouts, fewer than 5 walks, no more than 1 home run allowed.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of thoughts.
18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
One big problem for NBC, too many on-air cooks for the coverage, particularly on the weekends. Having 4 on-air teams separate time, divide the time, was really outrageous. You had Mike Tirico and his partner. You had Dan Hicks, NBC Sports' lead golf commentator, and his partner. You had Steve Sampson, Golf Channel, and his partner. And you had Terry Gann, who, by the way, if you don't know, is going to become an NBA play-by-play voice.
Newswire, only on Sports.
Game time decisions with you here on SportsGrid on a Tuesday night. Kevin Walsh, as we have 90 minutes to go through a strong Major League Baseball card. The WNBA offering up a full slate as well. We have a lot of NFL news that is starting to pour in, some quarterback battles. So we will get to all of this here on Game Time decisions tonight. There are some 640 games here on this baseball board. So let's go through what the crew has to offer, best bets, and some tank shots on this Tuesday. My best bet is under 10 Phillies-Orioles. I think this number is too high. Of course, make sure if you get that 10, there's 9.5 at a plus price, but you want to get the best number here. I think you've got 2 pitchers who I understand can be vulnerable in Kremer and Walker, but both in spots where I think they will be solid. I do. I understand Taijuan Walker's got splits where he's been worse in Philadelphia. I think some of that, though, can be situational. I think that Dean Kremer is in line for a solid start here up against this Phillies lineup. And I think the 10 is representative of a 95-degree wind whipping out Citizens Bank Park Day. That's not what we have here. I think the 10 is too tall. I'm playing under it in Phillies-Orioles at -117. Koski gives us a Spencer Torkelson 2+ hit-run RBI as the Tigers and the Twins go to battle once again in a Paddock-Matthews matchup where Chris Paddock is, I don't know if getting revenge, but going up against his former team. That game is featured in the best bet section by Pat, who'll play the over 8 of Paddock Matthews. We have an under 7.5 Reds Cubs from AJ. We've got Imanaga getting the ball with Zach Littell making his Cincinnati debut. And then Mr. Tennis himself, Sammy Yarnell, goes to Ben Shelton on the money line, getting a +118 price. Home run style here this Tuesday, of course, offering up the opportunity for some shots out of the yard. I'm going to James Wood at a +430 price. I had to put the block on here and take this out of Sam Yarnell's hands, who I feel like every Tuesday plays James Wood. I'm not buying Severino's resurgence. I got to imagine he's devastated. He's still on the Athletics. Wood still has done damage against righties this season. I know he's been cold. I think he can snap out of it and put one in the seats here. Chris gives us Pete Alonso at 3-1. Mets are in a good spot, I believe, against Logan Allen and the Guardians. I know they did drop one yesterday, but I think the Mets can get it here tonight against Cleveland. And then you have the game of the day for home run players, where for the first time, we actually see a guy appear multiple times. That's Vladdy Jr. for both Sam and Pat. You know, at one point they were talking, they're like, let's not each have the same guy. But then it's almost going to be like, I said it. Or, nah, that would have been mine. So they both go with Vladdy Jr. Alejandro Kirk gets the call for AJ at plus 560. I agree with these guys in that this is the game to bet on. There should be plenty of home runs tonight with this 11.5 total. Yesterday, 15-1 Toronto. I think you could get a more even outing overall here in this baseball game. I played Barger, Loperfido, and I went for an 8-1 Tyler Freeman shot on the other side for the Rockies, because I think Barrios could be had a little bit today by that CR lineup. So that is where the home runs look for that game. I did also for the Major League Baseball card. So let me just say this, all right, hand up accountability style, which we always do here on Game Time Decisions. The best bets right now, I'm getting beaten up. Getting beaten up. Outside of Sabrina Ionescu hooking it up last week, I think maybe on it was a Tuesday or a Wednesday. The best bets are it's not going great. And yes, I know we just did our best bet segment. We'll see what happens. Yesterday, though, was the prime example of a nice and tidy 3-0 MLB card when you remove the, when you talk about straight plays. But I had the simple 2-leg parlay for a best bet. Brewers-Dodgers. Brew Crew get it done. This Dodger team, my oh my. Just, the Ivan Herrera home run, okay, fine, it happens. But then you get it right back in the bottom of the 8th. How do you give that up in the top of the 9th? Then you get an Ohtani leadoff single, attack. Freeman, a non-competitive at-bat. A web gem by Lars Nootbaar took away extra bases for Mookie Betts. It was frustrating. But, listen, I think in some way the honesty of the struggles that have been the best bets, some of the straight action's been working out. We've been playing some moneyline dogs in Major League Baseball, and there were a few moneyline dogs that caught my eye. We've mentioned Twins-Tigers already. I'm playing the Minnesota Twins here at a plus 122 number. I think Chris Paddock will be had. Paddock is an acquisition that kind of exemplifies Detroit's starting lineup being a little underwhelming. I understand he was good in his debut. I think he could be had here tonight. It's a shame Byron Buxton is not healthy. He would have been my favorite home run opportunity on this slate if he was actually available. I'm going to go to the Rays against the Angels. Look, Jose Soriano has really good stuff occasionally, but it's not an every start guy. And Ryan Pepio is due for a really good start here. I like Tampa Bay coming into this game off of a loss in game number 1 of this series at plus 108. And then I'm going to run back to D-backs. Yesterday, the Arizona Diamondbacks and Brandon Pfaadt got the job done going up against Darvish and the Padres. They were able to get Darvish out of there, somewhat early on in that, or JP Sears, excuse me. They were able to get Sears out of there somewhat early. It's Darvish tonight. And I think is Darvish as bad as the first few starts were? No. But is he 7 shutout innings with only 2 hits against the Mets? Also no. It's a good little spot for Ryan Nelson. I'm happy to play the D-backs at a plus price here. I think San Diego, you're getting a little bit too much of the, they won't lose again number. And I don't fully subscribe to the idea that they won't lose again. Some other just things of note on this slate tonight are 2 pitching performances that I'm going to be watching closely in Garrett Crochet and Brian Wu. I tweeted out some boosted parlay action earlier, playing both Crochet and Wu for over 18.5 outs recorded. There was a brief moment in time where they offered alts in that market, and what a dream it would be to get each of these guys to go 6 tonight. I think Garrett Crochet, though, is still trying to keep this AL Cy Young race alive. And one of the ways he's going to be able to do that is this just nonstop Boston resurgence They have now won 5 consecutive Garrett Crochet starts and 9 of the last 10. And he has been mostly brilliant. Outside of a bad start against the Yanks, they still won the game. During this stretch run here, does Crochet step it up, who now, has not gone beyond 6 in consecutive outings? You don't find that 3 straight times for him. And then Brian Wu and the Seattle Mariners team, who are looking to hit the ground running, made all the deadline acquisitions to the lineup. The strength of this team is supposed to be that starting rotation. And that rotation has had an interesting season. When you look at George Kirby and Logan Gilbert kind of trying to find their level, Brian Wu occasionally, it felt like, was stepping up. But a really rough outing the last time he made his way to Sacramento. How does he bounce back is another thing to keep our eye on. The truth of it all, though, is while this is a great baseball slate, we haven't even covered our main event yet. That is the return of number 99, Aaron Judge. What does it mean? Next.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Major League Baseball board is off and running on this Tuesday night with Marlins, Astros, Tigers, Twins, Pirates, Giants, Nats, A's all underway, and Phil's Orioles not far behind on the under 10 in that game. Soon enough, we are going to get, though, the main event, which is the Rangers and the Yankees, as former New York Yankee Nathan Eovaldi will get the baseball. And he will go up against a Yankees lineup that brings Aaron Judge back into the fold. Aaron Judge rejoins the Yankees with still having, I think, the best season of any player in the sport. he rejoins the New York Yankees as a minus 320 favorite to win American League MVP. I think it shows you how great a season it has been for Judge. I think it shows you that Cal Raleigh has really missed a window of opportunity with some down play in his recent stretch. Cal Raleigh is hitting under 200 in his last 30 days. That can turn around, but Cal Raleigh's home run lead over Aaron Judge only being 5, despite Judge having an IL stint, is not what was anticipated here, and it's changed the conversation around that award. Now, for Judge, being able to win American League MVP is great, but I think Judge himself would tell you the goal for the Yankees this year is not regular season accomplishments. It's supposed to be postseason accomplishments. Even for Judge himself, being absolutely incredible in the regular season is great. I am sure he has his eyes set on having an excellent postseason because they need Aaron Judge to have an excellent postseason. Except the Yankees have now put themselves in a position where postseason baseball is not a guarantee. I understand that the odds for the Yankees to make the playoffs is still minus 500. But when you look at this moment at the American League East, the Yankees are as far back from the Blue Jays at the top of the division as they are close to the Rays for 4th place. When you look at the wild card right now, the Yankees are a game and a half up from these Texas Rangers, who, if they are underdogs to tonight, and if they go on to lose this game, it'll be a half-game difference with one more to go, meaning if Rodon weren't able to stop the bleeding on a Wednesday, the Yankees, heading into their next series, would enter it outside of the postseason picture in the American League. They have absolutely missed Aaron Judge, but it has not all been about Judge's absence. This is a team that has struggled in the field, in the bullpen, and so on and so forth. Which is to say this. At the top of the hour, we're going to do a Kevin 7 around the best teams in Major League Baseball, how I believe the World Series odds should stack up at the top. And I'll give you a spoiler right now. The New York Yankees are not in that top 7. Despite the fact that in this moment on some books, they are tied for the 4th best odds to win the World Series, the Yankees were an easy exclusion for me when we talk about the 7 best teams in Major League Baseball. When we're figuring out World Series price, pedigree certainly matters. The reality, though, for the Yankees, the most postseason pedigree belongs to Giancarlo Stanton, not Aaron Judge. Yet so much of the success of the Yankees lineup is tied to Aaron Judge, and the one black mark on the resume for 99 is the postseason stuff. The Yankees cannot have a claim to, oh, well, you know they're going to be there. No, I know the Detroit Tigers are going to be there. I know the Los Angeles Dodgers are going to be there. I don't know that the 3rd place New York Yankees are going to be there right now. I think the Yankees will be there. I think they are better than the Texas Rangers. I don't think they're better than the Seattle Mariners. I don't think they're better than the Houston Astros. In this moment, I'm not sure I think they're better than the Boston Red Sox. And that's before we get to a National League that offers up plenty of legitimate World Series contenders. Win or lose today, whether Judge comes back and it's multiple home runs, the Yankees' current World Series price could only be justifiable by hold percentage, risk, and accountability for the books. They can't afford to give you a 20-1 Yankees number because it'll be bet down immediately to 16 or 15-1. And that's a part of the game, certainly. But if you are someone who is looking to get into the World Series market right now, the Yankees are a gift for you because they're giving you longer odds on teams like the Astros or the Cubs or the Red Sox, who all right now feel as if they should have a shorter price than the New York Yankees. We go into tonight's game. I ultimately stood back. I thought the number was a bit short on the Rangers because of just how ridiculously good Nathan Eovaldi has been during this most recent stretch of baseball at minus 126 at home for a pitcher who is sub 1.5 right now, earned runs. I mean, the stretch of baseball for Nathan Eovaldi has been scary good. But it can still be difficult to bet a team to lose a fifth consecutive game, especially that of a caliber of the Yankees. And again, I don't think they're one of the 7 best teams. I think they're still obviously one of the 13 best teams in baseball. 13, 14 best teams in baseball. So I stood back. I understand any and all plays that come in, though, on the Texas Rangers. It's not like Will Warren has been good for the Yanks outside of the Bronx. And again, Nathan Eovaldi should probably be a bigger favorite. We'll see how much of a difference Aaron Judge can make, who bats third in this lineup tonight and returns with an unsurprising home run price that is the first on the board that you will see in this game. We'll pause the baseball right now. We'll get you some WNBA action as we are with you here on a Tuesday night.
They're in a decent spot. They actually had a really great quarter this past quarter, and they're crediting what they're calling a smarter approach to sports betting and player quality, not just being lucky and being on the winning side of more bets. Of course, the past 2 quarters have been really bad for sports books, which just got hammered in the NFL playoffs, and then that continued into March Madness. But it looks like Q2 is shaping up to be much better for them.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Want to hear a crazy stat, guys, with this Pittsburgh Pirate team? I brought this up yesterday. Out of 106 games, they have been involved in 27 shutouts, 13-4, 14 against. Over 1 out of every 4 Pittsburgh Pirate games ends in a shutout. How crazy is that?
Total is 8 tonight.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Was already pretty solid up top, but you had the bottom that's that much better with Ryan O'Hearn and Lariano. Like, we now have a well-rounded lineup on top of a great pitching staff. Michael King is expected to start making his rehab starts. So you have him plus Pavetta plus Dylan Cease. You Darvish is back. You have the frontline pitching, the depth in the lineup, and now a great bullpen. You have it all.
I really like it. Like I do. Like sometimes I get caught up in the Padres of what they can be.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
It's a dinger Tuesday, folks. Let me tell you. You got Jose Altuve going deep in the Astros game. That's 2-0 early for the Stros. It's 3-0 Minnesota already, which is fantastic as Kashal goes out there and hits a 2-run shot. Shout out Luke, youngster, batting in the cleanup spot for this Minnesota lineup. Then you do get a nerfy in Pittsburgh, San Francisco. First inning scoreless in Baltimore. First half of the first inning in Baltimore, Philadelphia. 5-0 A's up on the Nats. I thought Mackenzie Gore was in a good spot. he is getting rocked and abused right now by this A's lineup. Langoliers homered. Hernandez then homers in this inning as well. It is 5-0. So those numbers are on the move quickly. I almost would, like, late to the party, play the over 13.5 and just kind of, hands up the whole thing. Because how much is Mackenzie Gore really going to go here in a game like this? Wrong from the start in that game. We'll watch everything shape up and shake out. Let's talk a little W, though, here. Full slate tonight of WNBA. It starts at 7 with the Liberty and the Wings. Feels a little pricey on New York getting back home. I would lean Dallas, but it's not my favorite game on the slate tonight. I'm sure there will be plenty of Sabrina Ionescu props. I would just say, if the Nafisha Collier injury did linger a little bit longer than expected, she's still minus 750 to win league MVP. Rightfully, she's been by far the best player in the sport. There's not really a case to be made on anyone else. It should be unanimous if the season ended today, but it doesn't end today. And let's just say potentially Nafisha Collier has played her last regular season game. Okay, that's going to open this race back up. Sabrina would then be in that race. She's going to finish on MVP ballots, undoubtedly. Right now, 20 points a game, I believe, leading the WNBA in scoring since the All-Star break, up right now to the third leading scorer in the W. If that Collier injury lingered, the Sabrina number then would be a little bit more interesting. Chicago and Washington are going to go at it today. The most noteworthy element of this game is Brittany Skies was just traded off of the Mystics, their leading scorer at 15 points a game and 4.5 assists. She has been traded to Seattle. What is that going to mean for this Mystics group moving forward? How can they continue to lean on the young rookies who have been great, notably Sonia Cintron in the scoring department? I think those are aspects you're going to want to track there with Washington. At 10 o'clock, you have 3 games. I am tempted to bet Phoenix laying the 14.5. I believe it's 4.5 in the first quarter, 8.5 in the first half. It is a smash spot for the Mercury, who have not been at home in 5 straight games. A Sun team who have not been on the road, I believe, since the All-Star break. So this could be a spot where they just absolutely roll over and get smashed by a fully healthy Phoenix group. It's still a ton of points, but I do lean Mercury, although as I'm speaking, I feel like I should really just go and lay those 14.5. I did play the Sparks plus the 2 and a hook. Look, it's an LA team that's continued to find ways to win close, but those close wins are against, Seattle on the road, the Liberty on the road. You can take that. Give credit to the Fever, 5 consecutive wins, all of them without Caitlin Clark. Some of them have been on the road. They have a home win against Phoenix. It has been impressive, right? Stephanie White's going to get some consideration for Coach of the Year because of the way they found their level without Caitlin Clark. I just think the Sparks are playing so well. More and more Cameron Brink, as she's going to continue to get back and into a rhythm there. I think it's a good Sparks spot. I think it's a great Sparks number for 2.5 at home. The only number better, I would probably argue, is laying 2 at the Seattle Storm. And I know this number's been dropping, but in other spots, it's up to 2.5. It's bouncing around a little bit. Nafisha Collier has been the best player in the WNBA all season long. And for Minnesota to have to play without fee off of a victory against the Liberty, followed by one of the most dominant wins in the history of the league. They beat the Vegas Aces by 53 points. Kayla McBride made 8 threes in the first half on 8 attempts. I think this is a spot where Seattle, off of 2 tough losses in a row at home, step up and roll here against the Lynx. I like Seattle laying the 2. Up next, Kevin 7. Best teams in Major League Baseball. We'll talk about it next.
they're in a decent spot. They actually had a really great quarter this past quarter, and they're crediting what they're calling a smarter approach to sports betting and player quality, not just being lucky and being on the winning side of more bets. Of course, the past 2 quarters have been really bad for sportsbooks, which just got hammered in the NFL playoffs, and then that continued into March Madness. But it looks like Q2 is shaping up to be much better for them.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
You want to hear a crazy stat, guys, with this Pittsburgh Pirate team? I brought this up yesterday. Out of 106 games, they have been involved in 27 shutouts. 13-4, 14 against. Over 1 out of every 4 Pittsburgh Pirate games ends in a shutout. How crazy is that?
Total is 8 tonight.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Was already pretty solid up top, but you had the bottom that's that much better with Ryan O'Hearn and Lariano. Like, we now have a well-rounded lineup on top of a great pitching staff. Michael King is expected to start making his rehab starts. So you have him plus Pavetta plus Dylan Cease. You Darvish is back. You have the frontline pitching, the depth in the lineup, and now a great bullpen. You have it all.
I really like it. Like I do. Like sometimes I get caught up in the Padres because of what they can be.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions live with you on a Tuesday night. And we have started to do Kevin 7 here on Game Time Decisions on a Tuesday. And last week we went through the Super Bowl market, 7 teams that were catching my attention as the possible Super Bowl future when we actually get to kickoff, which now is less than a month away. Today I wanted to talk about the World Series market. Now, to just start from the top, the only team I've bet to win the World Series is the Cincinnati Reds. Big time price. It's a big price still now. Maybe they find a way in, but I am not overly invested in the market. There is still certainly room to dance within the World Series market. But I'm not going to do 7 consideration pieces because there's only 13 teams that are even being treated with odds like they actually have a chance to win the World Series. What I am going to do is give you what I believe are the 7 best teams in Major League Baseball, how I think the World Series odds should look right now. There are elements that I agree with the books. There are elements that I disagree. So let's just start at the top. The Dodgers are the best team in baseball, and they should be the favorites to win the World Series. Now, I think that the Dodgers number should come back a little bit. They have not played to that price, and there is depth in this National League in a way that I think we somewhat thought entering into this season, especially with those top 2 teams in the NL and the Mets and the Phillies. And it was supposed to be the Mets, the Phillies, and the Braves. As long as 2 of them made good on those expectations, that was going to be a legitimate race, and the Mets and the Phillies have. But for the Dodgers, they have the easiest remaining strength of schedule in baseball. They are the defending champions, so all of that pedigree comes with it. And this is also a team whose rotation at the moment is actually all intact. Now, maybe it won't be when we get to the postseason, but the upside and potential dominance of Yamamoto, Glasnow, Snell, Ohtani, Kershaw, whatever. This is a team who their stars are on offense. Ohtani, right? But Freeman, Betts, the season of Will Smith. But that rotation can carry them, and they are the rightful favorites. If this team was plus 450. I probably tell you today I'm betting the Dodgers. They're half of that number nearly. I'm not as interested in the Dodgers at the price, though I agree with them being favorites. And I agree with the Philadelphia Phillies having the second best odds. The Philadelphia Phillies rotation is to die for. To have Zach Wheeler, arguably baseball's best pitcher, followed by Chris Sanchez, Jesus Luzardo, and Ranger Suarez, who feel all on any given day can give you 7 shutout innings, that is incredibly exciting. Pair it with a former MVP in Bryce Harper, a contending MVP this season in Kyle Schwarber, and a group that I think has the edge in the NL East race over the New York Mets, where there are 7 remaining games. The Phillies host 4 of them, so they get that extra game, and just overall have an easier strength of schedule. The key for Philly, who right now has the worst bullpen ERA of any projected playoff team, they need Duran to be the star he feels like since he's joined this group. At 3 is where we see some changes. I think it should be the Houston Astros. I feel I've been higher on Houston than the market all season long. That does not change. The Astros have all the pedigree in the world, and they made that, even though I have money on this team to win the American League, even more annoying by bringing back Carlos Correa. Jose Altuve, who still has it going, but neither of them need to be the star of this team. The star of this team is Jeremy Pena and the potential return of Yordan Alvarez. And that is still the element of this group that I wait on. I hold out hope for. When fully healthy, there aren't 5 better hitters than Yordan Alvarez in Major League Baseball. Yordan only's played in 29 games this season, and Yordan was not good during that stretch either. When Yordan Alvarez gets back, this Astros team can take a massive step forward. Their bullpen has been good all year long. The 1-2 of Valdez and Hunter Brown is as good as any in baseball. They are currently up in their division and host Seattle for the only 3 remaining head-to-head games. I think the Astros should still be AL favorites, and I think that extends as far as having the 3rd best odds to win the World Series. I think the Mets should have the 4th best odds, which they do right now. There's some difference in order. For the Mets, you could argue this is too high to have for a team who I do not think is going to win their division, but I believe in that trio of stars, Soto most notably, but Alonso and Lindor to follow, and I just love what they did with the bullpen. They were never going to turn their rotation at the deadline into a Phillies-Dodger caliber rotation. What they've done now is given Clay Holmes, Kodai Senga, Sean Manaea the idea, we need 5 innings out of you. And then we're going to turn it over to what could be baseball's best bullpen. And I think that's incredibly exciting for the Mets. I wonder if the gap between the Phillies and the Mets starts to grow, as the books are probably still holding out. What if the Mets win this division? I wonder if that gap starts to grow. We get a tempting number on the New York Mets. The Chicago Cubs, for me, are 5th. I still think the Cubs win the Central. I think they're better than the Milwaukee Brewers, and simply, the Chicago Cubs play the Brewers 5 more times. All 5 in Wrigley Field. The Chicago Cubs to win the National League is something that I am going to be prepared to bet on a very specific date. At around 7 p.m., maybe 6:30, right here, August 14th. The Cubs are finishing up a series with Cincinnati. They then go to St. Louis and Toronto for 3 apiece. They then host the Pirates for 3, and then that Brewers series begins. I want to see what the gap looks like. I want to see what the price looks like. But I still think the Cubs, with a bullpen that's been reliable, Imanaga, Boyd at the top, and a lineup that feels like it is somewhat slumping, but I think could rise back up to the top, I have my eye on Chicago a bit in the National League. The Tigers, for me, are 6th. I think the Tigers are too high because nobody's betting the Tigers at plus 950. The Tigers are not plus 950 good. They're not 3rd best odds in baseball good. What the Tigers are the biggest divisional favorites in baseball. This is a team who is over minus 5,000 to win their division. The next closest is the Dodgers at roughly over 1,000. The Tigers are going to be there. And that certainty should be factored into their pricing, but not this much. Not when you don't like their lineup enough. Not when you don't like the pitching behind Tariq Skubal enough. Right? Olsen injured. Mize hasn't worked out. His Flaherty really either. Detroit will be there, and that is why they're worthy of one of these 7 spots, but they should not be a team with top 3 odds to win the World Series. The last and final spot. I am sure there are a few fan bases surprised to not already see their team mentioned. I was between 2 teams for this spot. It was not the Brewers. It was not the Blue Jays, not the Rangers, not the Padres. It was the Red Sox or the Mariners. And I went with Seattle because I think that you have now given yourself a real chance to pair one of the most threatening rotations in baseball with a lineup that actually has the juice. That should be the order to win the World Series. Those are the 7 best teams in Major League Baseball.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of
15.5 points live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Back at the right here on SportsGrid, and on a Tuesday, we like to talk a little golf here on Game Time Decisions, and we've got ourselves a pretty fun tournament coming up with the FedEx playoffs and all of this stuff starting to come together now. We're at St. Jude, and we've got Brady Cannon with us here. And Brady, it's great to have you, as always, to talk a little golf. I want to just kind of start with the top level of this, if you will, in what exactly does this shift represent for you in the golf season? And can you also maybe explain to us how that ties into Rory skipping this event?
Yeah, I'll start out with how this breaks down. The regular season concluded last week at the Wyndham Championship, and the FedEx Cup points list that they've been, jockeying for position all season long. You get rewarded for wins and cuts made and top tens and all that good stuff. You've got the top 70 players on that points list that make the postseason. They are all here in round one of the playoffs at the FedEx St. Jude Championship, TPC Southwind in Memphis, except for Rory McIlroy. Now, Rory McIlroy is currently second, only behind Scottie Scheffler on that FedEx Cup points list. So he's not in jeopardy of losing his spot for next week in round one and probably even for round three, the Tour Championship. So it's okay that he's skipping it. It's just a little odd. I don't know why you would want to miss a round of the playoffs. I don't think he's nursing any sort of injury or anything like that. But he'll likely be around next week when we go to the BMW Championship at Caves Valley. So you've got 69 of the 70 that are qualified here in this field. At the conclusion of Sunday's round, they will whittle down to the top 50. The top 50 in the points list, and that's after all the dust has been settled with this tournament, the top 50 will then advance to round two, which, like I say, Caves Valley in Maryland, the BMW Championship, going on next week. And then when that tournament is finished, and again, the dust settles and you have all the points that adjusted for how everybody finishes in that event, the top 30 will advance to the final event of the year, the Tour Championship at East Lake Golf Club. And that is basically a winner takes all. Whoever wins at East Lake will win the FedEx Cup and $20 million. So it's a nice little run you have to go on here. And we often see that happen where a guy wins one or two of these things and just gets hot for a few weeks and walks away the big winner. Now, on top of all that, we've got the Ryder Cup coming up in about a month and a half or so at the end of September in New York at Bethpage Black. And guys are not only jockeying for points on the FedEx Cup points list, but also trying to earn their spot on either the European or the American Ryder Cup team. So really a lot going on in the world of golf for these final few weeks here. Then, of course, we get into the FedEx Cup fall. That'll go through about mid-November. Then we get about 6 weeks off, and then we go to January and to the 2026 season and do this all over again. So this is really about the last couple months of everything going on for golf in 2025.
It's again excellent to have you help us kind of understand the portion of the season we're working into. The Rory piece of it, Brady, I do want to just stick here. We have some time with Brady, so we'll make sure we get everybody's. We'll get Brady's picks for everybody, but it does seem like the PGA is not taking this lightly. Maybe they just don't want it to become a habit. So instead of being like, oh, we'll wait for it to be a problem, they want to attack it right away. But they don't seem very happy with the fact that Rory McIlroy is not golfing this Thursday.
No, I don't disagree with you. And I saw somebody say earlier, it's a clear sign that your playoff system is flawed if the number 2 player in the world is skipping round one. I mean, you can equate it a little bit to a bye week in football, or even, I guess, baseball has kind of a bye week for the division champs or what have you. But certainly for the top 2 seeds in the AFC and the NFC, they get a bye week. That seems fair enough to draw that parallel. But I also understand it's like, hey, man, this is the FedEx Cup playoffs. I don't know how you police that or what you do to change that. They've already gotten rid of the starting strokes in the Tour Championship, which you remember, guys were given a starting point in that final 30 at the Tour Championship, depending on how they did in the FedEx Cup points throughout the year. Scottie Scheffler ends up number 1. He gets a head start. He gets to start at 10 under par. The guy that's in second place gets to start at 8 under par, and then 6 under and 5 under and all the way on down. They got rid of that because that's an imperfect system as well. They haven't found the right way to incentivize players to play well during the entire season in order to put themselves in a good position to have the best chance to win the FedEx Cup. And then on the other hand, get some get some good finishes with drama. And, it's really, they basically tried to model this after NASCAR. And I can't remember what they call the NASCAR points, but, these drivers earn points throughout the year and, whatever. It's a similar type of buildup to a playoff series and what have you. But again, I think it's a very imperfect system that the PGA Tour has been able to put together so far. And they've yet to find that balance that I believe they're looking for.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I'll just say, because what you don't want to have happen, and this will be true, they won't say it publicly, of course, they'll be rooting for Rory to be really bad in the following, tournaments here, because what you do not want to have is, I think bye week's a great way to put it, right? In the NFL, you value a bye. You don't want to be like, oh, wow, Rory was fresh and Scotty was tired. All right, well, now I'm not showing up. But I think that's why you'll notice the PGA's not like, hey, listen, Rory's not here. We got a great tournament. He's going to be here next week. They're like, no, we're going to figure this out. This cannot happen. This is unacceptable. And again, it's not nothing. It's not going to necessarily mean anything for the St. Jude or even necessarily for the BMW, but it's just something with, if you're a fan of golf in the golf world, it's certainly something to keep your eye on. We're going to hit a commercial break. When we come back, though, we're going to get Brady's thoughts for the St. Jude Championship here, which, of course, has Scotty Scheffler at the top.
They're in a decent spot. They actually had a really great quarter this past quarter, and they're crediting what they're calling a smarter approach to sports betting and player quality, not just being lucky and being on the winning side of more bets. Of course, the past two quarters have been really bad for sportsbooks, which just got hammered in the NFL playoffs, and then that continued into March Madness. But it looks like Q2 is shaping up to be much better for them.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Want to hear a crazy stat, guys, with this Pittsburgh Pirate team? I brought this up yesterday. Out of 106 games, they have been involved in 27 shutouts, 13-4, 14 against. Over 1 out of every 4 Pittsburgh Pirate games ends in a shutout. How crazy is that?
Total is 8 tonight. In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Was already pretty solid up top, but you had the bottom that's that much better with Ryan O'Hearn and Lariano. We now have a well-rounded lineup on top of a great pitching staff. Michael King is expected to start making his rehab starts. So you have him plus Pavetta plus Dylan Cease. Darvish is back. You have the frontline pitching, the depth of the lineup, and now a great bullpen. You have it all.
I really like it. I do. Sometimes I get caught up in the Padres of what they can be.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. He knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Back to right here on SportsGrid. We'll update that baseball board in just a little bit, but the FedEx St. Jude Championship is starting on Thursday with Scotty Scheffler at plus 280. The next number, Xander Schauffele, 18-1. This is what happens when you get a big golf tournament in the PGA Tour, where, no Bryson, no Rahm, Rory's absence, it's felt. Respectfully, Matt Fitzpatrick, third best odds to win an important golf tournament. Again, respectfully, that feels a little uncomfortable to me. Fitzpatrick's a fine golfer. He's not the third best golfer in the world. I think we could all agree on that. How do you start, though, to attack this outright market, Brady?
Well, a lot of people will opt for the without Scotty market this week. If you look at those prices, and I tell you what, if you want to go to a guy like Schauffele or Victor Hovland or Matt Fitzpatrick, the odds are not all that different in the without Scotty market. I did not play that market, and I did not play Scotty. I did play Matt Fitzpatrick. He's been absolutely red hot as of late. He's got 4 straight top 8 finishes. And we talked about it in the segment prior about the Ryder Cup looming in less than 2 months away. Matt Fitzpatrick currently is 12th on the European side points list. The top 6 get automatically in, and then the rest are captain's picks. So right now, Fitzpatrick would have to be a captain's pick, but he's continuing to try and build his case, maybe even crack the top 6 in the automatic bid. But he wants to continue this hot play. And a lot of these guys, in fact, another Englishman, Matt Wallace, I think admitted it was more important for him to make the Ryder Cup than it was for him to get into the FedEx Cup playoffs. Well, he is in the playoffs, and he is also, I believe, just 1 or 2 positions behind or ahead of Fitzpatrick. He's like 11th or 13th. So he's accomplishing what he's trying to get done, and that is obviously very important for a lot of guys on both the European and the American side. The rest of the guys I played, Kevin, they're already technically into the Tour Championship. They're inside of the top 30 on the FedEx Cup points list. I don't like to put too many eggs in my handicap basket based on motivation and, I got to play well so I can advance to the next round. We know in any sport, you don't necessarily bank on a guy flipping a switch or a team flipping a switch. It's a must win. We're gonna need to play better, and that's not automatically going to make them play better. So, Fitzpatrick has the current form. I think he makes a lot of sense for this golf course, and he's got, that is one kind of where I added a little bit of the motivational angle to the handicap. He's got that momentum that he's riding to try and reach that goal, and I think that's real for him.
It's a fascinating thing, too, just to go back to the without Scotty point, where there are some guys you look at and the gap is marginal, or it feels marginal. Fitzpatrick is, just using the FanDuel numbers in front of me, 22-1 with Scotty in and 20 without. Ricky Fowler is 80-1 with Scotty in and 60 without. That is again, I listen to the people who bet golf enough to know the gap between getting a guy at 80-1 and 60-1 is a big gap. It's a very fascinating, kind of tightrope we can walk here. So who then did make the card for you, Brady?
I went with guys that, again, no pressure as far as advancing to the next round, good form, and guys that are maybe a little bit under the radar. Fitzpatrick, I thought he would be a popular play this week. Victor Hovland is extremely popular. He's done very well here in the past. Daniel Berger's a popular play. He's won here twice before. I didn't play any of those guys. I mentioned Fitzpatrick, but then I went to Ben Griffin at 40-1. Then I went to Harris English, who's had a fantastic season. He's twice finished runner-up to Scotty in majors this year. Grabbed him at 45-1. And then Maverick McNeely and J.J. Spahn, both at 50-1. And then finally, Nick Taylor, the Canadian, at 90-1, who has a lot of good history on golf courses, exactly like TPC Southwind. So I really looked for guys that hit the ball straight, accuracy off the tee, greens in regulation, and can really scramble. These greens are small. So first of all, you want to hit them in regulation, but you're probably not going to do that 100% of the time. And when you do miss, you're going to need to get up and down out of this nasty Bermuda rough. So hit it straight, find the green, and when you miss the green, be able to scramble. That's the type of guy I was looking at this week.
There you go. Listen, you heard it here first from Brady, which is going to be a pretty interesting tournament. Again, it starts at the top with Scotty, but if he's off his game, becomes anyone's tournament.
He can finish third. That's fine.
Again, which for him is like, meh, realistically. Brady, we appreciate it as always. We'll be right back here with more Game Time Decisions.
they're in a decent spot. They actually had a really great quarter this past quarter, and they're crediting what they're calling a smarter approach to sports betting and player quality, not just being lucky and being on the winning side of more bets. Of course, the past 2 quarters have been really bad for sportsbooks, which just got hammered in the NFL playoffs, and then that continued into March Madness. But it looks like Q2 is shaping up to be much better for them.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Want to hear a crazy stat, guys, with this Pittsburgh Pirate team? I brought this up yesterday. Out of 106 games, they have been involved in 27 shutouts, 13-4, 14 against. Over 1 out of every 4 Pittsburgh Pirate games ends in a shutout. How crazy is that?
Total is 8 tonight. In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
It was already pretty solid up top, but you had the bottom that's that much better with Ryan O'Hearn and Lariano. Like, we now have a well-rounded lineup on top of a great pitching staff. Michael King is expected to start making his rehab starts. So you have him plus Pivetta plus Dylan Cease. You Darvish is back. You have the frontline pitching, the depth in the lineup, and now a great bullpen. You have it all.
I really like it. Like I do. Like sometimes I get caught up in the Padres because of what they can be.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Oh, we are with you here on SportsGrid. It's game time decisions. And, I'll tell you this. I am very excited for football season. And right now I find myself really enjoying the work that we're doing. And that is here on Game Time Decisions. That's with, the season that was on Betting Above the Rim. Excited for pro football today. And I'm also excited to continue to do the Kevin Walsh Show, the SportsGrid podcast. And soon, we will get Tom Vecchio on that show. But I bring that up for this reason. On the podcast, which released an episode today, while Micah Parsons being traded doesn't feel like something anybody actually thinks will happen, and if you actually believe that, you probably don't believe it in your heart. I am open to the idea that Micah Parsons is going to miss time. I am open to the idea that this is going to drag out. And Todd Archer, longtime cover reporter of the Dallas Cowboys, asked Jerry Jones, or Jerry Jones was asked, he tweeted out, if he was confident that Parsons will play in the opener. And Jerry responded, no, absolutely not. So this situation, again, is not getting any better. And I believe that Jerry is absolutely fine with letting this bleed into the regular season. And I think Micah Parsons will be as well because, and now we're kind of, but we mentioned this on the podcast, but it's relevant. If you're Micah and the week 1 game was against the Giants or the Browns, dang it, they might be able to go out there and get it without me. It's against the Eagles, the very first game of the season. And if that game holds to the expectations in the market, which is Philly as a near touchdown favorite, and it will be over a touchdown if Micah misses that game, then you could see that pressure start to mount on Jerry Jones, really specifically, and the Dallas Cowboys to pay Micah Parsons in full. Speaking of future guest of the Kevin Walsh Show, Tom Vecchio, he's here with us on Game Time Decisions. Tom, it is good to see you. I want to ask you about this Micah Parsons situation, and I want your current feeling on whether or not Micah missing real games is actually something you think could play out here for Dallas.
I do. Like put a number on it. It's like 20, 25-ish%. I don't know, somewhere around there. Like we are dealing with a situation where we talked about this, I don't know, week and a half ago, whenever this all started, where Jerry Jones, it almost feels like publicly, it's like he likes to twist the knife, put salt in the wound, like whatever expression you want to use, he says and does things that normal owners don't. And in no way do any of those things make the situation better. It's not like he's going out there and being like, listen, Micah is he's super important to us. He's our best defensive player. He is one of our most important players, either side of the ball. We're working. We know there's a difference. We got to get things done. And we know it's training camp and week 1's coming up. I want to get it done. He wants to get it done. We just got to find the number. We're working on it. There's been like no verbiage along those lines. It's like, well, he may be. I don't know if he's going to be there. Do players. So like nothing productive is being done. That's what comes down to.
Ooh, we lost Tom. That's a rarity.
No.
I'll just tell you that. You don't see that a lot there. You don't see that a lot there from Tom Vecchio. I wonder what happened. I mean, it's not usually does the internet take Tom away from us. Which is really surprising. But what we're going to do is take a quick bounce. Just update that baseball board. I haven't mentioned the scores. Tom's right there. All right. See, hey, Tom, you all right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine. I mean, Jerry Jones got me worked up. That's what it is.
Jerry hacked the internet.
He doesn't want me talking negatively about him.
Not wrong. Not wrong. It's tough because you don't really know where you were within your point.
You heard.
It's almost hard to really know because of how it
again, like Jerry, nothing productive is being done.
All right, we're gonna have to get a fresh reset on Tom Vecchio. I'll tell you this, folks. 100% blame pie. Producer Russian Tom Vecchio back up on the screen. 100% blame pie, and I almost take it a little personal. It's like, whoa, they didn't think OK Dubs could update the baseball card? Come on. It's 3-0 Phils. I will say this. If you're on this under, could be a lot worse. Could be a lot worse because there was a 2-out base knock from Stott, which turned it to the top of that order. Turner got on, Schwarber walked, and luckily they were able to get out Bryce Harper because that could have turned very, very ugly very early on. Nerfy comes in if you played it in Boston and Kansas City, as Garrett Crochet has struck out 3 through 2. Still 6-0 A's as they are just in a run Mackenzie Gore out of the gym spot. The funny thing is, because the Nats season doesn't matter, they're going to let Mackenzie get his 100 pitches. He hasn't struck out a batter yet in this game. He's given up 10 hits. It is a disaster for the Washington Nationals. Mets go first as Pete Alonso with a sac fly in the bottom of that first inning puts them in front. 2-0 San Francisco is now 2-1 against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Koss hit the home run for the Giants here on this Dinger Tuesday. So there's still some home runs being put in the seats. The Twins make it 4-1 off a Trevor Larnach homer. Carpenter had a double in the bottom of the third. So Minnesota extends that lead. Over looks good for Pat, who played it for a best bet. We are also underway in Atlanta, Milwaukee. Nerfy did come in if you played a little Braves, Brewers. Nerfy 2-1 Houston, Miami also as the Marlins grabbed one back off of the Stros. We'll also update that W board right now. Wings trying to cut into the Liberty lead as New York is still up by 4, nearing halftime. Game trending slightly under right now. Slow start for Sabrina Ionescu. Only 3 field goal attempts through, again, the first 17 or so minutes of this game. Has just 3 points. It's Jonquel Jones leading all scorers with 10. We are with you here on Game Time Decisions. We are going to bring Tom Vecchio back in within our next segment. And I want to get Tom's thoughts on the Kevin seven best teams in Major League Baseball. Because there are certainly teams that I think left out of the 7. Brewers, Blue Jays, most notable examples, who could feel slighted. I also think there could be moving pieces within the 7 that I anticipate not everyone will agree with. I'm sure some will think I have Houston too high, Detroit too low. Maybe the Mets too high. Maybe a lot of love for Seattle. We'll see. We'll get Tom's thoughts on that. We'll get your thoughts on it, as always, if you're over on Twitter, at the Kevin Walsh, at SportsGrid. Make sure you are following on Instagram, SportsGrid TV, TikTok, all those good things as well to keep up with everything that we have going on here on the SportsGrid network as we are with you on this Tuesday night. We're going to get Tom back in the fold here. And we will also work in, by the way, some of those other NFL headlines that we haven't been able to get to just yet. The Colts plan at quarterback, which is going to really shape the futures market for me more than I want it to. The Browns named Shedeur Sanders the starter for their preseason game, and the Jordan Addison suspension also for the Minnesota Vikings. That's all next. It's right here, and it's on SportsGrid.
They're in a decent spot. They actually had a really great quarter this past quarter, and they're crediting what they're calling a smarter approach to sports betting and player quality, not just being lucky and being on the winning side of more bets. Of course, the past 2 quarters have been really bad for sports books, which just got hammered in the NFL playoffs, and then that continued into March Madness. But it looks like Q2 is shaping up to be much better for them.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Want to hear a crazy stat, guys, with this Pittsburgh Pirate team? I brought this up yesterday. Out of 106 games, they have been involved in 27 shutouts, 13-4, 14 against. Over 1 out of every 4 Pittsburgh Pirate games ends in a shutout. How crazy is that?
Total is 8 tonight. In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Was already pretty solid up top, but you had the bottom that's that much better with Ryan O'Hearn and Lariano. Like, we now have a well-rounded lineup on top of a great pitching staff. Michael King is expected to start making his rehab starts. So you have him plus Pivetta plus Dylan Cease. You Darvish is back. You have the frontline pitching, the depth in the lineup, and now a great bullpen. You have it all.
I really like it. Like I do. Like sometimes I get caught up in the Padres because of what they can be.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions with you on a Tuesday night. We have Tom Vecchio with us, and I want to get Tom's thoughts on Kevin seven best teams in Major League Baseball. Tom, if you maybe will have multiple gripes. That's fine. Yeah. I just want, it doesn't have to be a gripe. You can be like, oh no, I think that's great actually. But what was the first thing that you wanted to address with my list of 7 best teams in Major League Baseball?
I would probably say the exclusion of the Brewers. I can understand the non-love for the Blue Jays, but the Brewers being there ahead of the the Brewers not being there, and the Astros and the Mariners both being ahead of them, that would be the first thing that I'd take exception with.
So I almost expected to like Milwaukee more, as I kind of wanted to do a deep dive into the outlook for these teams, strength of schedule, and all of the other elements that will go into the certainty of being in the postseason and what have you. And I don't think Milwaukee is going to win the Central. They play the Cubs 5 times. All of the games are in Wrigley Field. And I think that is a huge edge for the Cubbies. And I think the selling point for Milwaukee is still going to be the rotation. I understand it's a limited sample size, but the postseason work from Freddie Peralta has not been great. I don't know if people are running to bet Priester and Woodruff, maybe Woodruff more than Priester. And Mizorowski is a total unknown. He's injured right now. It feels like he spent half the season overrated, despite the fact he's only even played in 7 games or pitched in 7 games up in the big leagues. How high up would you have the Milwaukee Brewers when you were to rank them amongst the other teams here in Major League Baseball?
Well, it would come down to the fact that the Astros would be 6 or 7 on my list. Just, off the top of my head, they would not be that high.
So you're low on Houston.
Well, Houston's
I guess
dealing
you're
with
market on
injuries.
Houston. I'm high on Houston.
Well, Houston's dealing with 1 billion injuries right now, and attrition is starting to get to them. And at a certain point, you cannot say that the Cubs starting rotation is better than Milwaukee. That is just incorrect to say that the Cubs are better than Milwaukee's rotation. Assuming everyone's fully healthy, because going Imanaga and Boyd, absolutely. Who's after that? Who's their third best starter?
So, I don't care whether it's, Colin Ray, it doesn't matter. But, listen, pitching matters. It's not all that matters. Pitching also goes beyond the starters. I think the Imanaga Boyd 1-2 can match a Peralta Woodruff 1-2, quite frankly. I think the Cubs bullpen's been a bit better this season, and I think the Cubs have the better lineup. I like that Cubs lineup.
So who's the 1-2 for the Astros that you like?
Framber Valdez and Hunter Brown. As good as any in Major League Baseball.
Even with the injuries in the lineup starting to take their toll.
So I think that it's glass half full, glass half empty, and I'm glass half full on these injuries. This team has been banged up all season long, most notably their best player in Yordan Alvarez he's played in 29 games, and he was bad in the 29 games. Yeah. Yordan Alvarez, for me, Tom, and I don't think you'll disagree, fully healthy, there aren't 5 better hitters in Major League Baseball. So, and I don't have much reason to believe when Yordan gets back, he won't. Well, hold on now. Go ahead. You want to pretend?
Ohtani, everyone's fully healthy?
Sure.
Ohtani, Judge, Soto, Witt. Maybe he's 5.
All right, so he's 5. So there weren't 5 better hitters. All right, that's great. 100% credit by me. So Yordan, top 5 hitter. Everyone knows it. You're going to give me Gunnar Henderson? Cut it out. Fernando Tatis, he's struggling. Mookie Betts might be washed. So for me, I have no reason to believe that when Yordan Alvarez gets back, he's not going to be great, because he's been great his whole time. So I think that he's going to be a super boost when he returns. Jeremy Pena's completely broken out. They've got all the pedigree. I think they're winning the American League West. I feel better about the Astros winning the AL West than I do the Brewers winning the NL Central.
Disagree. You were assuming everything falls into place. You're assuming when Yordan comes back and Valdez gets on the right side of things and everyone stays healthy, then it's just going to magically fall into place once they're all back in the lineup, when we know that's not the case.
But you're talking like they're 500. They're 63 and 50.
Yeah, but you're talking about like the teams behind them are not playing bad, and they're also all fully healthy. Outside of Tyler Mahle for the Rangers, like those pitching staffs are very, very good, and arguably the Mariners pitching staff is better than the Astros right now.
Yeah, I think it is, but I don't think I think pedigree is also a big part of booking. Again, I don't think Seattle's going to catch Houston, and I guess I view that the Astros have had a very banged up season, and yet they still sit here at 63 and 50, one of the best records in baseball, and yet they're not playing their best baseball post-break. That's undoubtable, right? Getting swept by Boston's not ideal. They still have a better record than Boston, right? And I don't see anywhere the Astros are not in the playoffs. I also think it's a part of, when we talk about, how we want to view the outlook of the World Series market there. At the end of the day, the World Series is going to be played between one National League team and one American League team. And I think the Astros are going to be that American League team. I really do.
Oof. Okay. I mean,
you think Detroit's better than them?
No, I'm not saying that Detroit's better than them or the Mariners or, any other team. You've been saying they haven't been playing their best baseball, and like that may be true because Jordan isn't in the lineup, but going after two starters is getting to one of them. If they lose one of those games, either when Valdez or Hunter Brown starts, any other team then has the advantage. Because if you put them in a series with the Mariners and you're throwing out Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Brian Wu, if you beat them in one of the first two games, the Astros, that is, if they lose one of those two games, who's ever starting game 3 for the opposing team is just factually better than the game 3 starter for the Astros.
I understand that, right? But also, again, if this Astros-Mariners series, and listen, I still rank the Seattle Mariners inside my top 7 teams, but in this series, Houston, I believe, would have home field advantage. And if you're throwing Hunter Brown, I don't really care who.
How did that work out last year?
Is not. I understand that. It's also not. It's not super easy to. The same thing doesn't happen every single year, right? And it's not that the Mariners are littered with pedigree. It's not that the Brewers are littered with pedigree. The Astros still are. Game time decisions. Quick break. We're back with you right here on SportsGrid.
They're in a decent spot. They actually had a really great quarter this past quarter, and they're crediting what they're calling a smarter approach to sports betting and player quality, not just being lucky and being on the winning side of more bets. Of course, the past 2 quarters have been really bad for sports books, which just got hammered in the NFL playoffs, and then that continued into March Madness. But it looks like Q2 is shaping up to be much better for them.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Want to hear a crazy stat, guys, with this Pittsburgh Pirates team? I brought this up yesterday. Out of 106 games, they have been involved in 27 shutouts, 13-4, 14 against. Over 1 out of every 4 Pittsburgh Pirate games ends in a shutout. How crazy is that?
Total is 8 tonight. In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Was already pretty solid up top, but you had the bottom that's that much better with Ryan O'Hearn and Lariano. Like, we now have a well-rounded lineup on top of a great pitching staff. Michael King is expected to start making his rehab starts. So you have him plus Pivetta plus Dylan Cease. You Darvish is back. You have the frontline pitching, the depth in the lineup, and now a great bullpen. You have it all.
I really like it. Like I do. Like sometimes I get caught up in the Padres because of what they can be.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
With you right here on SportsGrid, and we still have Tom Vecchia with us here. There's some football headlines that we did not get to fully dive into today. I think we may have to tackle some of them a little bit more tomorrow, and we will. I do want to start with the Jordan Addison piece of it, because that was maybe the most significant piece of news that came out, which was the suspension for 3 days. The difficult part of that news is, oh, look at this. There's more breaking news that happened 15 seconds ago. You know what? We'll tackle this. Jordan Addison be gone. Tom Pelissero and Ian Rappaport of NFL Network are reporting that Keenan Allen has signed a 1-year deal to return to the L.A. Chargers. The Chargers tried to run it back with Mike Williams. Mike Williams retired before the season, so they turn their attention to Keenan Allen as they look to strengthen the roster for Harbaugh in year number 2 with L.A. We are with Tom Vecchio. Tom, your reaction to Keenan Allen signing a deal with the L.A. Chargers?
It brings a level of stability and familiarity with the offense overall. Obviously, Mike Williams there. Now he's not there. He retired. Obviously dealt with a ton of injuries in his career. But, Ladd McConkey should still be the absolute number 1 receiver. And then I think when you have enough young pieces, behind Keenan Allen, like you have a well-rounded offense where Ladd McConkey, as I always like to say, like I think an offense should have a player that you can like etch in stone every game. Like that's your guy. And then as long as you have another handful of options that can give you 30 yards here, 40 yards here, 50 yards here, and you have like 3 different players that can give you 40, 50 yards, that's a well-rounded offense where you don't have to be reliant on literally one player, which is why the Terry McLaurin is like so important for the Commanders, that you need that guy you can count on to give you first down. So you have Ladd McConkey, you have the other pieces with the rest of the Charger offense. I think it's a good addition for them.
The reality is Keenan Allen has more rapport with Justin Herbert than anybody else really on that roster. Keenan Allen in 2023, there's some of it there, Tom, had 108 catches in 13 games played. I know last season was a down season, another year older. I also think we can all acknowledge how awful that Bears situation seemingly was. I think also, Tom, I would argue Keenan Allen was in a situation where he was fighting for targets maybe a little bit more in Chicago than he could end up in L.A., where either, because we know McConkey's going to be the number 1. We know that. It's really simple. If Quentin Johnston doesn't take a big step forward, Keenan Allen's going to be this team's number 2 wide receiver.
Who was the rookie in the Hall of Fame game? His name is escaping.
Keandre Lambert, Lambert Smith, I think.
Yeah, KLS or whatever it is. He could take that step forward. So it could be McConkey, and then it's just going to be kind of jumbled up where it's like, are they still going to be giving the targets to Quentin Johnson, who can't catch a ball, and then Keandre, and then Keenan Allen? So you're going to have a grouping of 3 plus Will Dissly at tight end. So like it is an interesting offense, but it can be very confusing from a prop perspective. I'm trying to like think forward, but Ladd McConkey is the answer every single week.
And maybe Trey Harris is someone that I am, skipping over a round 2 pick by this team. I think this is one of those deals that maybe you're right, Tom, props-wise can get a little tricky. If you're in fantasy football drafts, it can get a little tricky. But for the Chargers, this is good. Where you know you have a number 1 guy in Ladd McConkey, and now you are just throwing darts. And I think it's live that something connects, whether it's the security of Allen, the upside of Johnston, or the rookie breakout potential of Trey Harris, or KLS. I think that's all right there in front of him. So a bit of breaking news here on Game Time Decisions. Keenan Allen is going back to the Chargers, and that is a actual decent-sized bit of news here this late in August. Interesting he wasn't on a team, but he found himself a nice landing spot. Tom, we appreciate it as always. I will remind people the rest of the baseball board for me: Rays money line, D-backs money line. We've got some home runs. The crew has them too. Within the Blue Jays Rockies game, Freeman, Loper, Fido, Barger. They're on Vladdy. They're on Kirk in the back. And then in the W, take the 2.5 with the Sparks. Lay the 2 with the Storm. In-game live is next on SportsGrid.